Hello, this is Vicky with 12 Black Lace Roses. No paper today. Today we are looking at embroidery. I have not posted Morticia videos or the Morticia journal videos in a while because I have switched projects. This one has a deadline. It's due by May 15th, so I have put the book on hold until I finish this. And this is actually one piece of 9 that is going to go in a large wall hanging. And what it is going to be a piece that I'm turning in for the California State Fair. And I'm turning in a Victorian style crazy quilt wall hanging. And let me see, I have a book here that I can kind of show you. Oh man, I'm gonna have to move around here if I can reach it. Sorry if you can see my shirt and all that. There. Nope, that's not a good picture. Is this a good picture? Possibly. Okay, yes, that one's a good picture. One more time. Okay. So if you look at this here, these are examples of the way the quilt squares go. So this one here in the center, you can see the quilt block there. It's a square. But within the quilt block, it's sewn asymmetrically. Different pieces patched together in no specific order. Kind of just whatever size fabric you have of that piece. And then each piece has embroidery on it. There's a lot of different styles. That's just one example. Let me see if I can show you another example. These are some embroidery books I have here, but I don't know if they have examples of quilts in them. Kind of, sort of. No, those are too close up. Oh man, should have thought about this before. Anyway, I'll show you a picture, screenshot when it's closer to being done. So I have made several of these squares. There's going to be 9 in total. I can show you one. It's a little bit more finished. This one here. Let me back the camera up a bit so you can see. Okay. So here's an example of one square. And I've sewn the fabric together. Here's the back. And it's sewn on a foundation square. So cotton piece on the back. And on the top of that is sewn all these different types of fabric. So there'll be satin, cottons. This is like a gold metallic. This is like an upholstery. This is lace layover. All kinds of. This is silk. And I have embroidered on top of each seam. So a seam is where the pieces of fabric go together. Each seam is decorated with one stitch and then embellished with other stitches. So this here is a Cretan stitch, the yellow one. And then top of the Cretan stitch, I think that light's a little bright. Let me turn it down. Yeah, there we go. Now it's in definition. So on top of the Cretan stitch, there is detached chains. And on top of the detached chains there, if you can see, where's the camera lens? Here we go. These are like glass beads. Here, this is a chevron stitch, detached chain on the ends, a bead in the center, and then here there is sequence held on with bead. So silver sequence bead, silver bead. This is a vintage lace. I don't know what this stitch is called. They look like little eyeballs to me. I learned it, but I don't remember the name. This is a chain stitch. This is a blanket stitch with bugle beads inside and then seed beads here on the ends. This is a detached chain with seed beads in the middle. This is like an embroidered tree. This is couching. I laid the strings down and then sewed over them. So there's a lot of different embroidery stitches. I don't know how many I know, but I know a lot. I've done a lot, so I'll just kind of give you an example. Some more. Oh, that heart was kind of cool. I forgot I did that. This one's got some really pretty beads on it. Let me change the light. It's terrible lighting. Let's see. I'm not good with this lighting stuff, guys. I'm not good. How's that? Doesn't look much better. It's out of focus. There we go. I can see it a little bit better. So these are French knots. This is a stem stitch, this brown one. Then these are detached chains. These are French knots with beads. Let's see. These are detached chain and a fan. These are star stitches. Cretin here. A fan orientation. This is a, what is this? What's that brown one? I think that's a feather stitch. Okay, let's do a couple more. So this is some appliques I've sewed down. This is like a really funky little fuzzy fiber that I couched down with cross stitches. That's some satin stitch there. Some, you've seen that before in my work. I just sewed down some trims. And a lot of these aren't done. Like this still needs more work on it and beading. All of these squares are in process. Let's see here. Here we go. It's another tree-ish type form there. Blanket stitch. This one's kind of elaborate. It didn't come out very good, but hopefully it'll do well. And I'm not really expecting to win anything at the fair. I really just want an opportunity to have my work displayed. That would be cool. I'd be happy with being chosen to display. Here's some French knots over some vintage lace. There we go, some more stuff there. There's some beads here. Okay. A lot of these stitches need a lot more work on them. They're kind of plain. They're just one stitch down, and they should be a lot more elaborate. Victorian crazy quilts are meant to be highly decorative. So I've got every seam has one stitch on it. Now I'm going through and decorating a second layer on. So those are my 9 squares. And now we're going to work on this. So let's get back down here. And today I'm going to be adding some beading work on this. So this is, how's that look? Maybe a little bit farther down. There we go. That's good. So this is a piece of vintage lace, like super old. Where's the box it's in? So I get these at estate sales. So this lace here, I mean, I don't know how old it is, but it's really old. I have quite a collection of vintage laces, and I save them to use on these display projects because they can't be handled or washed, and Victorian crazy quilts are not meant to be washed. They're basically a display of embroidery skill and a way to pass time. So back in the day, the Victorian ladies who stayed home and did their women's work, one of their ways to pass time was to get together, bring pieces of old or used or discarded fabrics that were high quality and stitch them into quilt squares and then use their embroidery skills to decorate them. So that's where this developed from. So I'm going to work on this piece here, and I'm going to add some beading in. I've already chosen my beads. So this has like a butterfly motif here, and this diamond shape with dots inside. I'm going to add beads to those pieces. So let me get out my beading needle. I'm going to need a hard beading needle for that. There's lots of different type of needles that go into this work. A beading needle is a very thin needle that has a straight pinhead meant for the beads to slide over a bead. So it's super thin. I mean, look how tiny that is. So I'm going to go ahead and get that threaded, and we'll just use white thread because the back of that's white. Let's see if this is too white. Maybe I brought some off-white color. Let's see if that's better. Yeah, that's good. So we'll take some of that, thread our needle. Well, people ask me, how do you thread needles? That's crazy. How can you see that? I don't know. I just can. I cannot see you waving at me from far away. I cannot tell who you are. I wear glasses for that. I'm nearsighted. But I can thread a needle, no problem. So I threaded my needle, cutting my thread. Now I'm going to tie a knot on the end, and we can get to work. Okay, needle threaded, knot on. So we're going to start here on this butterfly. So I'm going to use bugle beads, which are straight beads. This stuff, bugle beads. I'm going to use some of those. I'll set them in my lap here so I can pick them up easily. So I'm going to just come through up the butterfly, pick up a bugle bead, thread it on. I'm going to move the phone down a little bit so you can see the beads I'm working into. Okay. So and I'm going to lay the bead down where I want it, and then take a stitch down right in the front of it, tack it down there. So that bead's on. Now for the head of the butterfly, I want to add on a black seed bead. Seed beads are little tiny round ones that look like seeds. Here. So I'm going to pick up one of those. Pick one up here. This usually goes a lot faster for me because, oops, I got to bring my needle back up because I'm usually doing this on a table with everything in front of me and not explaining myself. Okay, a seed bead on. Lay our seed bead down where we want it. Okay, and then push down. Okay. Butterfly body and head on. So now I'm going to go ahead and add, where the wings are, I'm going to add some pink ones. My thread keeps getting stuck on this box. So here's my pink beads over here. You see, we're still a little bit far away. Camera a little bit. I've never recorded myself embroidering before, so this is new and different. There we go. Okay, pick up pink bugle bead. Normally I would be doing this on a table, but these beads are on my lap and I'm afraid to drop them. Okay, first wing on. Second wing going on. People ask if this is hard on my hands. And it is. My hands do get tired. But after you do something for a long time, you kind of like, build up the endurance for something, especially if you enjoy it very much. You make sure you can get through it, right? So I can usually go for about 2 hours. Even though I have my beading needle, the seed bead or the bugle bead is not going to go over that. Each one is shaped a little bit differently. So that one we're going to skip and get a new one. Oh, that's gold. Wrong color. Okay, that one fit. Lay it down. Now I want to make sure I get it the same angle as the other one. So let's see, I don't want it looking super wonky. So that looks good there. Okay, and now other butterfly wing. Oops. A lot of beads are dropped in this process. Earlier I was, oops, that one doesn't fit. Earlier I was finishing up some gold beadwork, and I was all done. I was talking on the phone with my mom, so I kind of like wasn't paying attention. And I went to close the lid to my beads, and I forgot I had all the beads sitting on the lid, and they just flew everywhere when I flipped it over. So there's quite a lot of gold beads in my carpet right now. All right, butterfly done. Those other two are a little bit wider than I liked, but oh well. Okay, now I'm going to move to this piece. And in here, I'm going to put a lot of little seed beads. So let me go and switch my beads out. I wanted pink seed beads. I took them out. They are here somewhere. Just out of reach, of course. Pardon me. There we go. And I gotta tap them so they're laying flat. When I open it, they don't fly everywhere. So for the center motif, we're gonna do pink beads. Ooh, ooh, see, they're falling. They want to jump off. They want to just be free. So I'm going to rotate this way just a bit so I can reach the beads on the table. So I'm going to move my camera phone. Move the light up just a bit because it's a little too harsh. Oops. Oh man, sorry about all the phone shaking. We will come up with a different way to watch embroidery next time. Okay. I'm going to come up a little off center because you have to count for the space of the bead. If you come out right center, then your bead will come off a little bit off center. So scoop one up. Slide it down. Take a stitch length away and pull down bead one. Okay. Next, off center, up, get a bead, slide bead down, take a stitch length away, bead on. Okay, how is that coming through? Not very well, huh? Let's see, can I focus it more? Doesn't need to go farther down. Brighter light, less light? Let's try that light. Okay, off center, get bead. And all I do is stab my needle into the beads and pull it out, and there's always a bead on it. So that's pretty easy to pick up seed beads. Oh, I have to remember not to put my hand in front of the camera. I have a few ladies I watch who do embroidery, and they always comment that it's much harder to do embroidery on camera because you have to be conscious of where your hands are. To where if you were embroidering on your own, your hands go wherever it's the most comfortable. I'm here. I'm trying to make room so that you can see what I'm doing. Oops, forgot to come back up. Bead off. Needle up. That's not the right color, is it? I think it's just really thin. Oh man. That's not the right color. It looks clear to me. Okay, well the center one's going to be clear. Oops. There are no accidents. We meant it. That was our plan the whole time. Okay, 2 more to go. But I'm going to tie this off and start a new thread, I think, because I'm not sure if we'll have enough string to do those bugle beads. And right now I'm in my art studio, which is a bedroom I have to myself, set up with nothing but craft supplies and tables and desk for me to work on and all my things. But I also have a box that I use to travel to the living room with, and I work at my table there. So I'm going to pause the camera for a minute because I have to turn this over and tie it off before. You know what? Actually, I think we might have an extra thread. Cancel that. We're going to keep going. It's really hard for you to see those beads, huh? Oh man, they're so pretty. Let me turn the light up. Oh, barely can't see them well. Let's see if I can focus my camera. Can you focus on that camera? No. Okay, well, do our best. Okay, last one is the butterfly. So we're going to come up here, same spot as before. And we'll need 1 black bugle bead. Oops, let me open it. I have a habit of closing my beads when I'm done because spilling beads is like your worst nightmare. I have never done it, but I don't want to. I don't want to find out. I don't want to live that life. Okay, now we'll need a seed bead for a butterfly brain. Oops, forgot to come back up again. Man, I hope this video is worth watching because the quality does not look very good. I use my cell phone. I have considered getting, a better quality recording device, but I'm not sure if I can justify spending the money on just sharing my art. I could count it as a business expense, but I barely have a business, so I thinks about it. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be enough thread. We might have to tie off. Okay, get 1 pink bead and then we'll tie off. Oh, it didn't fit. These pink beads aren't very good for sizing, and I haven't had so much trouble with the other colors. That one fit good. I'll check the angle of the other one. That looks good. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there. That's what we've gotten so far. I'm going to finish this butterfly and then set up for the next embroidery stitch. Be back. Okay, I am back, and I'm going to take this out of the hoop so we can take a look at it. I finished the other side of the wing, and I tied it off in the back. So there it is out of the hoop. I'm going to press it flat a little bit and make sure our ring doesn't stay. I don't like putting in the hoop very much because look, it pushes my French knots out of the way. Makes my French knots wonky. And I'm worried it's going to move the beads off. And look at these French knots over here. Make sure everything's in place. Okay. Make sure our ring didn't damage too much. Then there is our butterfly bead motif there in the center. Came out great. And that's on this vintage lace. And then on the top and bottom of the vintage lace, I did a whipped running stitch to hold that down. Okay, so that's that. Next, we're going to work on this fan block. I didn't show it in its complete earlier. So here's the fan block. And it's supposed to look like a lady's fan, you know, that you fan yourself with. So here's the bottom of the fan, and then here's the fan itself. So each one of these needs to be added more decorations on. So I'm going to work on this herringbone today, right now, just to show what I have been doing. Maybe a little bit closer. Yeah. How's the lighting? Good. So this is like a sage green. And this whole block is kind of a green color. So I picked out some colors that I'm going to use on there already. First, the stitch. So herringbone stitch. And I have a book. What's called Elegant Stitches by Judith Montano. And it's embroidery stitches. She has some cool combos in here. So I'm going to do... Which one was I going to do? No, this one. So this is a herringbone stitch here. And then there's French knots, detached chains or lazy daisies, straight stitches, more French knots. So I'm going to do this combo here along this herringbone. So that's what we're shooting for. So I'm going to keep that there so I can keep in my mind when I'm doing that. And I've already picked out some colors. So for those little leaves on top, I'm going to do a gold leaf because I want to kind of bring the gold in all the way across. This side isn't that sparkly, so I'm going to add the sparkle right in here. Where is that gold thread? Gold flowers and green French knots. Hopefully we can get to the other one today, but I'm already at 30 minutes and I'm not sure how long this is going to take me on camera. So this is a DMC 5, size 5 metallic pearl. Bloop, bloop, bloop. DMC 5 metallic pearl. That's the size of the thread. It's also this. So this is a single strand and it's twisted. And they also come in this type of thread, which is a stranded cotton. But we're going to be doing twisted pearl cotton today. It's not cotton. I don't know what this is. Plastic coated shiny stuff. Okay, so let's get this open. To open pearl, we take off the papers, untwist our rope. And once our rope is untwisted, we look for the ends that are tied together here. There's our tied together ends. And then we're going to clip that. And then take one of these ends and pull out a length that we need. And I usually stitch with a short length, especially in this metallic, because it is notoriously difficult to stitch with because it's plastic, it frays, it moves a lot. So now I'm going to pick a needle. We choose a needle based on the width of our thread. Where's my lens? There we go. So based on the width, come on, camera. We need an eye that's going to fit that and puncture a hole big enough to slide that through easily. So here's my needle book here inside of, this is a hussif. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to back up so you should show this. This is called a hussif or housewife in German. It is a collapsible sewing kit. I made this one myself because they're very hard to find. They're kind of like an old school vintage item, but I make mine myself. So inside my hoosieaf, I have my needle book. So we're going to open my needle book and find an appropriate needle here. Let's see, this one looks good. I'm going to go with this one. I'm also going to beeswax this because it'll help it slide through better. Beeswax here. And we slide our thread. Probably not good for metallic thread, takes the shine off, but we need ease of sewing here. So there. Rubbed our thread in beeswax. Now I can feel it. It feels softer, it feels a little bit tackier, but when I slide the thread through the fabric, it will slide easier without fraying. So I'm going to thread this, threaded. I'm going to make a knot. Wrap it around your finger. Gently roll it off. Slide that down, and it forms a knot. Okay? Then I cut the tails off so I don't accidentally pull them back through while I'm sewing. All right, let's roll. Now I decided to do this in hand, not in hoop. So, okay, we're doing 3 lazy daisies at the end, okay, with room for a French knot. So let's see, make sure we're in camera here, center camera. Yep. So I'm going to leave room for the French knot there, and I think I'm going to do the side daisies first and then the center one last. Okay. Okay, I have to decide the height on my leaves. So it's like about 1/3 of the height of the herringbone. So we'll say right there's good. Oops, hit my camera. Okay, leaf 1 is in, and then we tack it down on the back. Leaf 2. I'm going to come up through the same hole. Go down next to it. And then decide where we want to lay it. So, over. Let's see, that looks good there. Okay, that's leaf 2. Now we're going to do one over the center. I don't like the way that laid very much. I'm going to try to pull it down again. There we go. That's a little bit straighter of a petal. Okay, our third leaf, we're going to come up the center again. This thread is thick, so it's hard to find a way through at first. Oh man, I hope I didn't make mistakes using this tough thread. I might have. I don't think we're gonna have space for the. Ooh, look what I did. I went over the back. Okay, so I pull my needle out. We're gonna reverse ourselves. Rethread. Okay, now leaf 3. Attempt 2. Yeah, we are not going to have space for a French knot. Okay, so we're going to do 3 leaves on top of the herringbone. Maybe we'll have room for a bead. I think a bead will be okay because that's thinner thread, less space. Okay. Oh, it's twisted. Not good. Have to reverse. Untwist it. Embroidering is usually not this hard, I promise. It's just getting weird because I'm doing it on camera. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, so that's our herringbone with our 3 lazy daisies on it. Okay, now we'll carry on, and we'll be back. Alrighty, I'm back. So, I finished the top 3 little leaves here. Let's just refresh here what they were supposed to look like. So we're doing this. So herringbone, 3 lazy daisies. Then we have to add French knots here underneath is what we're going to do next. French knots. And there's straight stitch and French knots in the middle. So French knots next. And I've already picked out that color. But first, if you'll notice, there's a thread change here. Yeah, something happened off camera. There was an epic battle. Me versus metallic embroidery thread. It did not go well. I did not win. I put up a good fight though. It pulled. I pulled harder. It fought. I fought back. And it won. It wasn't going well. The thread is just so what is it? The texture. See, this is smooth. See? That thread is it catches. It's like scratchy. Look at you close up. And so when you pull it through, the more you pull it through, it starts to come apart here. It separates into tiny little fibers. And as you're pulling it through and making the stitches, the fibers catch and they make loops. And oh, and I use short lengths just like they suggested. Okay, and I could have finished it. It could have happened. But I didn't want to. It was not fun. I was not enjoying myself. It was pretty, but it wasn't coming out how I wanted. So about the 3rd one in here, I stopped. Gave in, said fine, take your thread back, pulled it out, and we went with this lovely stranded cotton. I used this color. I don't know what number it was. There's numbers on it that tells you, you know, I don't know, I don't read those. But I only used 3 strands, so each one here, I'll show you here. It splits into 6 strands. So you can sew with all 6. You can take out 2. You can do 3. Come on, focus. Focus. Hello. There you go. You can use 2, you know, any of them out of the 6. And I used 3 of the 6 just for a finer leaf there. So now we're going to be doing French knots. And usually I do this in a hoop because French knots are a little bit difficult to do in the hand because they require 2 hand movements to do. Let me see if I can put it in. No, I'm not going to put it in a hoop. We'll just do it here. But I'm going to come up away from the back of this flower because I don't want my end to be in the way. Now am I going to do a single French knot or a double French knot? Let me look at the picture. Looks like a big one. We'll do a double. So we come off a little off center. And then you wrap it around your needle twice. Poke it back into the fabric. Pull tension on the knot there. Pull the thread and slide the needle through. Pull, 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 slowly, gently, and boop, French knot. Hi, kitty, kitty. I hear you. I do. I hear you. Hello. My kitty, kitty, Yuvi just walked in. Her name is Yuvia. Hi, precious girl. Can I help you? I'm sewing right now, or embroidery. It's so funny. I tell people what I do, and we know thread arts aren't that common. This is a thread art called embroidery. It's not that common, so I tell people I do embroidery, and they assume it's like, you know, anything with string that you just loop around and tie knots with. So I say I do embroidery, and they automatically think crochet. I don't know why crochet is the #1 thread art everybody goes to. And even if like you crochet, some people don't like use yarn. Like some people use yarn and it's not crochet. They knit. Or you know, there's lots of other thread arts that require string. So like for embroidery floss, the thread arts that use embroidery floss are cross stitch. What else is there? Needlepoint. What else? Gosh, there's quite a few. There's different kinds of embroidery. There's something else called hard anger embroidery, where you actually cut fibers out and then re-sew them in. It's very beautiful. I would like to try it one day. It looks super hard. Maybe one day. One day. But right now I'm learning this. So there's our French knot progress. Can you see that? Let's see how close we look to the picture. Here's our picture. 3 leaves and a French knot on a herringbone stitch. See, it's hard. You might even look at it and go, oh, it's, you know, kind of wonky. It looks a... Yeah, there are errors. Definitely are errors. I do not do picture perfect embroidery, but in truth, no one does. When you look at someone's art, whether they sew with a machine, whether they do crochet, whether they paint, it's not a perfect interpretation. It's not a flaw-free thing. Anything done by the human hand is going to have characteristic idiosyncrasies and, you know, style, period. So I am, like, even today, like some days I sew stuff and I embroider stuff and I look at it, I'm like, wow, did I do that? That's amazing. Well, some days I'm like, wow, Vicky, you weren't even trying. Seriously, that's what you pulled off today? Don't embroider anymore. Go to bed. Yeah, that's usually when I'm tired. I'm like, you gotta get embroidery in today. I try to sew every day. I do all my housework, do my phone calls, pay my bills. Oh, here comes my son. Take care of my kid. What's up, son?
After when you're done sewing, can you give me more, after when you're done sewing, I want to try the pineapple soda.
Pineapple soda? I saw that in there. Okay, you can have half a bottle, okay?
Okay.
Because that's a lot of sugar. I'll be done soon. Yep, so now I gotta get pineapple soda. Dad bought Jarritos. I normally don't like keeping regular soda in the house, but Dad buys treats. Dad meaning his dad, my partner, that guy. Okay, let me just check my thread. I have to check, make sure the tension's good. Make sure we don't get any loops or weird things going on. See, the thread is starting to fray. It's starting to come apart, so it gets a little bit weird. Okay, so this is probably what I'm going to finish for today. Just because I've been in here doing this for a little while, and my little guy loses patience with mommy, and I got to pay attention to him. He's my little man. He relies on me for, life, sustenance, food, care, safety, all that stuff. Oh, gotta redo this. See, our threads are getting loose. It's getting a little weird. Okay. Not right now, cat. I will pet you in a moment. Normally I do all my art stuff and videos when my son's at school, so I don't have interruptions, but I didn't make it today. Had a few things to take care of. Okay, 2 knots to go. 2 wraps into the fabric. Pull the tension, hold the thread, push your needle through. Oh, that is a seam. It's hard to get through. Oh, I'm not too confident in this French knot. Ooh, came out okay. Good. There's a seam. See where the fabric's sewn together? And so I'm getting onto the top where there's this piece, and the folded under piece. So there's 3 pieces of fabric under here. So I'm pushing and pulling through all of that, which takes a little bit of strength. And my fingers are getting tired. I've been sewing for a while, so this part on my thumb gets tired. I have thimbles. I have acrylic nails, so the regular thimbles fit, but I have thimbles that actually fit these nails. They're funny. Let me show them to you. No, cat, be quiet. They're actually called thread pullers, but look at that. Isn't that funny? That way when I sew. Ta-da! I don't know if that's what they made. Are you serious, cat? The cat knocked over my box of pins or something and ran away. Not needle pins, safety, no, yeah, paper clips. Okay, so we'll try with these, see how they go. Okay, needle up. And they're actually a little bit tacky, so they actually stick to the needle when you pull on them. It gives you a little bit more strength because, as you sew, or people have joint problems, which I actually do, and my joint problems are in the first joint in my finger. So when my hands get tired or I'm having a bad day, these would really help. All right, that's our last French knot. So next on there would be the next French knot, and then I would do the straight stitches around it. So maybe we'll come back for that tomorrow. But that's how far we got today on our fan. Oh, and our butterfly. Where's our butterfly? There it is. That and our butterfly beading. Okay, that's what I've been working on. Thanks for watching. Bye.